Trail stops can be a great way to help maximize profits while limiting risk in case of a price reversal. In this video, I'm going to show you all the different trail stop options that can be customized within the Predator. And that includes the ability to trail any indicator plot that is loaded on the chart. And it's all done at the click of a button. For those of you new here, the Predator is an order entry and management tool that lets users create a variety of custom fully or semi-automated strategies. And that includes anything from automating many of your favorite third-party indicators all the way to creating custom manual order entries. Whatever may fit your trading style, the Predator comes with a ton of customization for many different trading styles. There is a free trial on Discord if you wanted to check it out, and a full user guide on our website. I'm going to leave links down below, but with that, let's get right into it. When it comes to the trail stops, we have a bunch of different options directly within the Chart Trader panel. If we look in our order management section, you're going to see that we can select a bunch of different options directly from this section. But before we get started into going over each one individually, I first want to make our way into the Predator properties. And I want to go over a few things that are going to be the exact same for every single trail stop. So when we open up the properties, let's head down to 04 Order Management. Under Order Management mode, we're just looking at the Predator mode. Predator mode just means it's going to use its own built-in order management system. If you wanted to use NinjaTrader's own native order management, you would just switch this to ATM. I am going to make a separate video that's specific to ATMs, but for the sake of this video, I'm sticking to the Predator mode. Then from here, all we're looking at is our trail stop section. So in here, you're going to find your trail stop type. And these are the same options that we just saw on our order management within our Chart Trader panel. You can select them from here, or you can select them from the panel. It's going to be the exact same thing. So if we were to select ATR, for example, once we actually enable it on the chart, it's going to show up as ATR. But the first thing I want to talk about, because it's going to be the exact same for any single trail stop that we select, is our trail profit trigger. And what this does is it's just the distance into profit before it triggers your trail stop. So by default, we have it set at 1 tick. That means if you were to enter long here and you go 1 tick into profit, it's going to trigger your trail stop. And then at that point is when your stop starts moving up. If you don't want to start trailing until much later, you can set this to, let's say, a value of 100. And that means once you enter a trade, the price must move 100 ticks, and then your stop is going to start trailing. And of course, you can customize this in many different ways. So if you were to change this to a risk to reward distance, let's say 1R, it's the same distance between your entry and your stop, just multiplied by this number. So when it reaches that 1-to-1 risk to reward, that's when it starts trailing. Now, very important to note is that it's going to start trailing as soon as that profit trigger is hit. And this is going to be in real time. But in the case that you want to wait until the price actually closes above that profit trigger, you can just select this trigger trail on bar close. Doing this will make sure that the price must actually close above that threshold before it starts trailing. And another question I get asked quite a bit is, how do I leave just a runner? I want to enter a position, but I don't want an actual profit target. I just want to keep trailing my stop until the price reverses and stops me out. So in order to do that, all you have to do is go down to your targets. You can do this with as many targets as you want. It's going to enter different positions. So for an example here, I'm just going to set up my first profit target with an ATR target. And let's say after I hit that first profit target, I don't want a second one. I just want to keep trailing. You can leave the target enabled. This is what's going to actually enter the position. But just go down here to no profit. And what this is going to do is it's going to submit that position, but with no profit target. And just to show how that looks, let's enable this. And here you can see we entered a position size of 2. We have both of our stop orders, but only one profit target. And now once we reach that profit target, there's no secondary profit target. It's just going to keep going until eventually we get stopped out. And that's how we can leave a runner with our position. And for a final general trail stop tip, before we go into what each trail stop does, is when it comes to our trail stop button. Now, this is going to help us control the trail stop while we're already in a trade. So how this works, let's say we're in a trade and we want to start trailing before it triggers. You can just click on it and it's going to start trailing right away. If at any point you want to stop trailing that stop, again, you can just click on it. Once it turns white, it's no longer going to update. And again, if at any point you want to resume that trail stop, just click on it and it's going to pick up right where you left off. So those are the general trail stop tips. These are going to apply to any trail stop that you select, and it's just going to help you control that trail stop to whatever your needs may be. But with that, let's go over what each trail stop option does. All right, we're here in the properties, and the first option we're going to go over is the high-low option. And what this is going to do is, if you're in a long position, it's going to trail the low of each new candle. If you're in a short position, it's going to trail the high of each new candle. But of course, we can customize this a little bit to adjust it to whatever your needs may be. So I first want to look at the period. The period is just the range of the candles that you're looking for in order to find that lowest or highest point. So by default, the minimum we can do is a period of 2. And all this means is it's looking at the lowest point of the most current candle and the candle right before it. So period 1, period 2. If you were to start trailing with the high-low option with a period of 2, your stop would be set at the lowest point of these 2 candles, so right here. Now, you could also increase this. So if you were to change this to 3, it would look at 1, 2, and 3. So this would be your lowest point. Now, you may run into scenarios where the second candle may be lower than the third. And that's okay. This is going to automatically find that lowest point within that range. So if this candle was to come down here, that would be the lowest point. So that would be where your stop would be set. And when it comes to your offset, it's just how many ticks away from that lowest or that highest point your stop is going to be set. So when we have an offset of 0, it's going to be set at that exact lowest point. But if we were to change this to, let's say, 5, it's going to set your stop at that lowest point. And if you're going long, it's going to be 5 ticks under that lowest point. If you're going short, it's going to be 5 ticks above that highest point. So let's just see how that looks real quick. And guys, the trail stops are going to work regardless if you're doing a manual entry or letting it run fully auto. It's going to trail the exact same way. So here our trail stop started. We have 1, 2, 3. And it's going to constantly set our trail stop at the low of the last 3 candles minus 5 ticks. And if you want to change your offset, you could also do it directly from the panel. So when we change that, it's automatically going to bring it to that low. And that goes until we get stopped out, of course. So actually here as an example, we were looking at 1, 2, and 3. And the second one happened to be the lowest point, so that's where we set our stop. But I think we get the point. As the price keeps moving up, it's just going to trail that low of each new candle. So let's go back into the properties and go over our next stop. All right, now our next trail stop option is going to be one of my personal favorites, and that is the ATR based stop. And how this trail stop works is it uses the current ATR value, that's your average true range, and is going to continuously adjust based on the current market conditions. So for an example, let's say you're going through a period of volatility and the bars are increasing, they're getting much, much bigger. What the ATR is going to do is it's going to take that average range of the bars and it's going to automatically adjust your stop based on that range. So as the bars get bigger, your stop is going to be set farther away. But if you're in a period where it might be a really tight range, then this trail stop is going to automatically adjust based on that value, and it's going to bring your stop much closer to the entry price. And with an ATR trail stop, you have your trail stop offset. This was previously known as the multiplier. This works exactly the same thing. It's the same value as the previous versions. We just condensed everything in this version to save a lot of space. But how this works is it's just a multiplier for that ATR. So for an example, this value of 2.1 is going to take your current ATR value and it's going to multiply it by 2.1 times, and that's where it's going to set your stop. And as the price moves up, so is your trail stop. And with ATR, you have two options. You can choose to update the stop as the price moves in real time. This is the most popular, but it also takes up the most amount of resources. I know some guys that are trading 20, sometimes even more accounts, and they sometimes hit a rate limit. If you're trailing your stop in real time, this could cause an issue. So for those guys, I do recommend unchecking this so it only updates once the bar closes, and it's going to help save a lot of resources. I do have another update that's going to be coming out directly for that, but for the sake of this video, just know update intrabar does take more resources, but it is real time. I'm just going to select that. I'm just using one contract anyways for this example. And for the grand majority of you guys, it's not going to be an issue at all. So let me load this on the chart. And just to show what I mean when it comes to the ATR, I am going to load it separately. You do not have to do this part. I just like to give you guys a visual of how this actually works. So this is based on this ATR indicator. So you can see as the bars get smaller and smaller, your ATR has a very small range. But over here, as the bars start getting bigger, your ATR starts increasing with it. So over here, your stop distance is going to be a lot smaller, but over here, it will increase that distance. So let's enable this. And here we triggered our trail stop right away. All right, so here you can see our ATR is trailing up already. So I just want to go over exactly how this works. So let's bring out our trusty calculator, and we're looking at the current ATR value, that is 14.29. And we're going to multiply it by our multiplier, so that is 2.1. So our trail stop value is going to be set at 30. And let's bring out another calculator. And we are trying to get the highest price, so 21,977. And we're going to subtract 30 because that was the highest value that our price reached. And we subtract that 30 for our ATR, and it leaves us at 21,947. So that's all it is. It's just the current ATR value multiplied by whatever you have set in here. And of course, as the price fluctuates and the bar size increases or decreases, this is going to automatically adjust for that. But now let's move on to our next example. All right, for our next example, we're looking at the Parabolic Trail Stop. This option was very popular in the early versions of the Predator, and it's just based on the actual NinjaTrader Parabolic SAR indicator. And the way this works is very similar to the high-low option, where we can select the period that we're looking at. So if we look at 3, we're looking at the Parabolic SAR option of 1, 2, and 3, or you can change it to 2 for the candle that is previous to the current. So in this case, it would be this one right here. And much like the high-low stop, you can also select an offset. So I'm just going to load this on the chart. And again, I'm going to load the indicator separately. You don't have to do this. The Predator is going to automatically set it here. But again, it's just a little bit of a visual. All right, so we're just going to enable this on the chart, and we're going to enter a trade. And you'll see our trail stop triggered, and it's automatically going to set that stop based on that parabolic indicator. So as the new bars open, it's just going to trail that previous bar to the current. So that's all there is to the Parabolic SAR. It's just based on the actual NinjaTrader indicator. Let's go on to our next example. All right, next up is our TickTrail. And this is probably one that causes the most number of questions. But you may notice that in version 3, we simplified this quite a bit to make it as easy as possible to understand what's actually going on. Now, your TickTrail, this is going to be what's most similar to an actual ATM trail stop. So if you're used to the NinjaTrader ATMs, this is pretty much the exact same thing. And how this works is you just have to select the distance you want your stop to be set from that most current price. So a value of 50, that is 50 ticks away once that trail stop is triggered. Then your frequency, that is how often it's going to update. So in this scenario, we have a 5-tick frequency. So what this means is anytime the price moves 5 ticks into profit, it's going to set your stop 50 ticks away from that current price. So again, you move 5 ticks into profit, it's going to set it 50 ticks away from that current price. Another 5 ticks into profit, 50 ticks away from that current price. So if you want to continuously keep updating on each new price increase, just change this to 1, but it is going to use up a little more resource. And of course, if you don't want to update as often, you can increase this number. This is just going to make it, in this scenario, the price has to go 25 ticks into profit every time in order for it to trigger again. So once it triggers, it needs another 25 ticks, and then it moves the stop up. Another 25 ticks, moves the stop up again. So let me change this. I'm going to do 80 ticks, and I'm going to do 12 ticks frequency. So this means every 12 ticks, my stop is going to be set 80 ticks away. With the TickTrail, before I forget, you also have that update intra-bar option. So if you want to wait until the price closes beyond your frequency, you can choose that as well. But with this selected, as soon as it touches it, it's going to move that stop up. Otherwise, unselected has to actually close past that trigger threshold. But for the sake of this example, I'm going to leave this selected. And actually, because we're on MNQ, it does move a little bit faster. I might increase this to 20. So that should be 5 points. So that means it needs to travel 5 points in our direction before it sets our stop 20 points underneath that current price. So let's just enable this. And we are going to get into a trade. So here, as we move 5 points into profit, so that is that 20 ticks, then our stop is going to trail by that 80 tick offset. And that's all it is. It's just a basic TickTrail stop where we need to set a trigger threshold and then how far we want our stop to be trailing by. And now let's go over our final built-in Predator trail stop. And for our next built-in trail stop, we have the SuperTrend trail. Now, the SuperTrend is based on this NinjaTrader indicator that can be found inside the ecosystem. I had a lot of requests to add this in during that time, so that's exactly what we did. And how this trail stop works is just based on this SuperTrend indicator. So if we go into our indicators and select the SuperTrend, we'll be able to see this plotted on the chart. And when it comes to SuperTrend, you also have the same offset options as before and the period that you want to trail as well. So let's just see how that looks on the chart. We'll hit apply. All right, so let's enable this on the chart. And here you're going to see your SuperTrend. So those are the red for short and green for long. Now with the SuperTrend trail stop, it's going to automatically adjust. It's not going to trail unless you have those green lines underneath your price, if you're going long. So here we can just get into a trade even though our SuperTrend is still below or above. Actually just showed up there anyways. So now we're just waiting until the SuperTrend actually goes above our stop because it's only going to start trailing if we make new profits. So there, our trail stop changed color, and you can see as the SuperTrend goes up, our trail stop is just going to match it. So that's all it is. It's just a trail stop based on this SuperTrend indicator. But now, what if you have your own custom indicators that you want to trail your stop with? Well, we can do that with the Predator as well. Let me show you how to set that up. So this next part is going to be for your custom trail stops. And these are based on any indicator plot that you have on the chart. So for this example, I'm using a simple 21 EMA, but this could be literally any exposed plot that is on the chart. All you need for this to work is to have it actually loaded on your chart before you enable the Predator. So for this one, I have this 21 EMA. Now I'm going to load it. Now from here, we'll go over to our trail stop section. And you'll notice right away, especially if you're on market replay, or maybe the market is closed and you're just testing things out, you'll see that your trail stop options only have the built-in Predator options. Now, in order for the Predator to be able to read these third-party plots, you must have some sort of a price change. So you'll notice down here too, your data loading requires price movement. All it needs is some sort of movement in the market. Typically, by the time you see this P&L, everything should be good to go. Now, let's go back to our trail stop section. And now you'll notice that any indicator plot that you have loaded on the chart is going to be in this list. From here, you can simply select it. And once you get into the trade and your trail stop triggers, you'll notice that it goes directly to that selected plot. So let me keep playing it. And of course, you can move it around, change it, you can stop the trail. And at any point, if you want to start trailing again, just set that button on again. And it's automatically going to move your stop to that selected plot. Now, as the price keeps moving, so is your stop with that plot. But now, what do we do if we have some sort of an indicator that has two separate plots, one for the longs, one for the shorts? It would be a pain to have to keep going back and forth into our trail stop section in order to switch back and forth depending on the direction. Don't worry, all you have to do is go to these little arrows in your chart trader panel. This is going to split your longs and your shorts. And this way you can select your trail to any plot that you want, and you can make it different again between your long and your short. And guys, last week I made a video that was specific to our stop loss. I'll link it somewhere up here. But just as a quick recap, you can also set your stop directly to these plots. So something I like to do is just use the swing low for longs, swing high for shorts. So now when we enter a trade, it's going to set your stop directly on that swing point. Let's speed this up a little bit. And once we create a new swing point, your trail stop is going to automatically set your stop directly on that new swing or any indicator that you have selected. And again, if you want to set some sort of a offset based on that swing, this is going to automatically do that for you as well. So I think that just about covers everything related to trail stops when it comes to the Predator X order entry. If you guys have any questions, please visit our user guide, TradeSaber.com, or join us on Discord, ask any questions, or send me an email, support@TradeSaber.com. But I think this is where I cut the video. I hope you guys found it useful. As always, take care, enjoy.